This base is the pinnacle of 2025 meta, and I'm about to tell you why. One base, 3 different spots to hide your main TC, so your raiders will have to second guess themselves 3 times just to figure out where it might be. You'll also have 3 bunker style multi-TCs to protect your base from griefing, and let me tell you, they're not getting through those cheaply. Add to that 3 external HQM bunkers inside the compound, all of them 99% echo raid proof. That last 1% is technically possible if someone decides to go full ape on the hard side of a wall, but honestly, that's unlikely. Each of these external bunkers is protected by either 1 HQM wall or 2 sheet metal walls, which basically comes out the same in raid cost. Now I can already hear the comments section critics.
Oh look, Hidden Joint built another raid-proof nightmare. They'll just blow all the TCs and get free access to your meta bunkers.
Well, not this time. Even if they destroy all 3 multi-TCs, they still won't be able to claim a single one, because they physically can't place a new one in their spot. And after the raid, you'll be able to easily reclaim everything with just a few small adjustments. The real pain for raiders, that would be your anti-siege system. You'll have 4 of them around your compound, and each one is its own bunker opened with a twig roof trick. Worried the compound seems too complex? Don't be. The central base can be built completely standalone, and even like that, it's still an absolute top-tier pick for a fresh wipe. In the middle sits a super efficient 2x2 base with an HQM spiral bunker on the first floor and a cheeky HQM cube hidden in a non-obvious spot. Throw in my favorite starter shooting angles, an open core with 15 large boxes, 2 large furnaces, 2 oil refineries, and a total raid cost of 150 rockets if the raiders have no clue what they're doing. Sure, 101 rockets might be enough if they're experts, but still. And now, let me show you everything from the inside. This is the strongest 2x2 base you can currently build for the resources spent. The main central base itself requires about 50,000 metal fragments, and the compound costs slightly less. To complete the compound, you'll need 3 multi-TCs, and their upkeep cost is shown now. If your multi-TC gets destroyed, raiders still won't be able to place their own TC here. Even if they cover everything with ceilings, it still won't work. Naturally, it's a bunker-style multi-TC, and just to even attempt anything, raiders would need to spend at least 15 rockets. If needed, you can disconnect the multi-TCs in an unusual way. After doing what's needed, you simply restore everything back in place. This is the first base in the past year that I've made asymmetric. There are 3 main entrances onto the territory. Each entrance is equipped with multiple shooting angles, so you can shoot both into your compound and outside of it. Here, you'll also have the ability to set up a mini farm with a single planter box. Plus, you can quickly stash resources into these 3 large boxes without having to enter your main base. As soon as you open the double doors, at least 2 turrets will be looking straight at you. And since we're already inside the compound, let me show you how to return a TC into the multi-TC. You just need to place a twig square roof at a specific spot. After that, you can go to your multi-TC and calmly place the TC back in its proper place. Once you're done, just return the triangle hatch frame. This mechanism is known as the anti-siege system. You'll have 4 such anti-siege points on your territory. In each of them, you can respawn quickly if needed. You can also use the external loot box to store everything for online defense, repair materials, syringes, grenades, and so on. Additionally, each such extension contains another bunker based on stability, opened with a twig triangle roof. Inside, you can fit 2 large boxes and 1 large battery. Optionally, you can even hide the main TC here, but that's up to you. Staying on topic, let me show you how the external HQM bunker opens. You'll only need 50 wood for this. Inside each such bunker, you can place either 3 small boxes or 1 barrel from the DLC. And to destroy one of these bunkers, raiders would need to blow through either 1 HQM wall or 2 sheet metal walls, meaning at least 15 rockets per bunker. Even if your enemies try to echo raid them, they won't succeed easily, unless of course they're willing to spend forever hammering 2 HQM pieces, and that would take a very long time. And remember, I told you that there would be 4 anti-siege extensions on your territory. Right now, we're already inside the second one. Just like the first, there's another bunker here. I won't dwell too much on this. Just keep in mind, you'll have 4 of these across your base, and each will have a bed and a stability bunker inside. On this side, you'll find your main external combat spawn. Here, you'll also have 2 beds and 3 large storage boxes hanging under the ceiling. Naturally, you'll have plenty of shooting angles from here too, perfect for defending against anyone who truly deserves it. Also, here you'll find your second external HQM bunker. And of course, I couldn't leave you without an oil refinery, which will become a real headache for your raiders. On this side, you'll also find the second exit from your compound. And here too is your third and final external HQM bunker. In an offline raid, breaching this base would cost raiders an obscene number of rockets. On this side is the main entrance into your base. I specifically designed it so that there would be more doors between the outside and your 2x2 core. Here you'll have a ton of large boxes, as well as exits leading to two different parts of the compound. And this turret right here, it works like a dream, especially if your double doors happen to be open. Remember how, on the opposite side, there were two oil refineries causing problems for raiders? Well, near the entrance, you'll have two large furnaces instead. Next to your beds, there are window frames with glass on both sides, allowing you to safely check what's happening outside before stepping out. And here you'll find the only entrance into the main part of your base, leading straight to the second floor. Up here you'll have a research table, a few electric furnaces, a mixing table, and a staircase leading down to the first floor. However, to actually get to the first floor, you'll first have to open an HQM bunker. The layout on the first floor is quite convenient. And if by some miracle raiders manage to get this deep, you can generously reward them with a lovely pumpkin feast you left behind. I'm sure they'll be thrilled, especially once they realize there's no TC down here. To open the HQM bunker, you just need to break the twig ceiling. Also, there's a small hidden trick here. See that drop box? Normally it holds little stuff, like torches or rocks, but if someone tries to loot it this sneaky way, they might just find something a little more exciting, like C4. And you can set up sneaky drop boxes like this anywhere around your base. Behind the garage door, you'll find the jump up to the third floor. Here you'll have a computer station, and just above that, your third workbench. Right behind the workbench, you'll find yet another loot room with 4 large boxes. To the left of this spot is your main combat spawn inside the base. From here, you can easily shoot at anyone moving around on this floor. Now we're going to move up to the 4th floor, but we'll come back to this level a bit later. On the 4th floor, you'll have a mini smelting factory with 9 electric furnaces, and to the left of them, you'll find another loot room with 4 large boxes. You'll also have beds for respawning on this floor, but they're mostly secondary spawns. From here, you can access both sides of your shooting floor. The shooting angles around this base are fully circular, making it easy to move and control every side. You'll also have a roof peak spot where you can check what's happening on your roof. And as you can see, the view here is excellent. Directly across, there's another identical roof peak. Everything here is symmetrical. From these spots, you can safely shoot at players running around outside your compound. At the corners of the shooting floor, I set up door peaks. Notice that in each door peak, I placed 2 door frames. Even if raiders blow up the door itself, they still won't be able to get inside without using explosives. As soon as you step onto the roof, you'll immediately be stared down by at least 2 turrets. There's no way to take them out from a minicopter. I also placed 2 extra support turrets here, and I'll talk more about those during the build section. You'll also have 2 combat spawns on the roof, 1 bed in each. Here you can respawn quickly and use vending machines to sell off any junk items. Drone delivery works fine. I tested it myself. Overall, even without counting the compound, the main base layout turned out very unique and super comfortable to use. And if you've got the resources, building it is surprisingly fast. Surviving in it is going to be pure pleasure. And remember how I told you we'd come back to the 3rd floor? Well, here we are. Behind this garage door, you'll find 7 more large boxes, plus a big battery and a repair bench for fixing whatever you need. And of course, here's your main tool cupboard. Its upkeep is right in front of you. There are at least 2 layers of walls around it from every direction, one of which is HQM. You can also upgrade this area into a full HQM cube for even more protection. If you do that, you'll be able to pass resources inside using a drop box. Imagine the faces of the raiders when they blow through your armored bunker on the 1st floor, only to find out they still have to raid an HQM cube. I think they're really going to love that. Now imagine all of that, but scaled down into a 2x1 footprint. And this new private base is already available on my Patreon. On top of the unique anti-siege system that I use in this private base, I've also added 2 pixel gap loot rooms, so you can easily access your boxes hidden deep inside buffer layers. You'll also get an HQM bunker for the drop down, plus 4 more HQM bunkers hidden around the compound. I can't even show them all here. And all of this is available for just $7.50. Plus, you'll get access to everything else I post there. That's already a collection of 31 private bases, each one tailored for a different playstyle. The link to my Patreon will be in the description. Subscribe now, you won't regret it. Even though the initial foundation plan looks extremely simple, trust me, it really is that simple. And believe me when I say, later on, you'll be able to turn this base into a real fortress capable of withstanding at least 100 rockets, minimum. At the start, everything will be pretty default. You place your TC, your loot rooms however you like, sleeping bags as needed. You can also set up a research table, a workbench, extra furnaces, all that good stuff. Everything on the 1st floor only really matters during the early phase of your wipe, because later your main loot room room will move up to the third floor, but we'll get to that soon. For now, your early development starts with this basic 3-square setup. Let me quickly show you how it looks inside. As you can see, there's plenty of space and everything is super easy to access. And if at any moment you feel like you need more doors, no problem, just add them. Your next step will be building the jump up to the second floor. I'll immediately upgrade everything to its final form, but you, if you prefer, can keep building out of stone at first. Also, don't forget to add a shelf in the middle of the wall above the staircase. Then on that shelf, place a low ramp. On that ramp, you'll create another small loot room with 2 large boxes. It's very important to set this up right now, because later you simply won't be able to. Once you install the single door frame, congrats, you've basically built yourself a bunker. And let's quickly check if it works, just in case someone's already thinking about logging off early. Pretty awesome, right? You built a little starter hut, and if you need to leave, just close the bunker and you're good to go. Early on in the wipe, no one's going to bother raiding a bunker like this. Opening it is also super easy. No headaches at all. Meanwhile, I want to sincerely thank everyone who watches, likes, and comments on my videos. Also, huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. Because of you, my videos stay ad-free and I get to keep doing what I love without depending on sponsors. For the first 24 hours after this video drops, I'll be replying to every comment under it. And if you don't believe me, just go check. And don't forget to let me know what kind of base you want to see from me next. Now we need to properly set up the second floor. Keep in mind, from here, you'll not only have an exit to the outside, but also a staircase leading up to the third floor. And because you likely won't have garage doors yet, it's essential to create an extra cube structure on the third floor for an additional double door. Don't forget about the extra window frame next to the staircase leading up to the third floor. This spot will eventually become your main combat spawn area. As for the general setup, you can arrange things exactly like I do. It's very simple to build and you shouldn't have any problems. For now, you'll still enter the base through a twig roof. However, we're moving it over here, which will be more convenient and, importantly, needed for the next phase of construction. Important. There's only one door separating the roof from this spot right now, so only use it in emergencies until you can reinforce it better. As soon as you gather enough resources, you must build a layer of triangle buffer walls around the perimeter of your original 2x2 core. From this moment, raiding through the walls becomes much more expensive, especially considering this is still just the early stage of the base. However, at this point, I don't really like that there's only one door protecting your loot. That's why, first thing, we add another double door right here. It'll make it much harder for enemies to door camp you, and overall, the entrance will look and feel much more secure. Next, we also need to reinforce the third floor. Here, I recommend being extra careful. This floor will later become your main loot room. That's why the placement of all doors and window frames must exactly match what I show. At this stage, you'll still be using this level for early shooting angles, but soon it will transition into the loot room. After that, I recommend strengthening your main entrance even further. We do that by adding an extra square extension here. Also, don't forget about the 2 side window frames. They're essential to prevent door campers. And absolutely do not forget to install wooden window bars. If you die and leave those windows open, someone could climb in and loot your corpse. And obviously, we don't want that happening. Now, let's continue by building out the second floor here. Everything should be upgraded to metal. This buffer section here, we don't need it at all, so just close it off with a wall. Once you finish that, I highly recommend you immediately reinforce your second floor. To do that, we need to add additional walls around the entire perimeter of the second floor. I'm deliberately building them with blue metal so you can clearly see where everything is placed. Once your second floor is reinforced, you should head up to the fourth floor and obviously create an exit to it. Just build solid walls all around and place a shelf in the middle of the wall. This is where your 9 electric furnaces will later be installed. To the left of this spot, there will eventually be a loot room with 4 large boxes, but we'll build that a bit later. Directly opposite this place, install window frames, so you'll be able to defend even at early stages. And now you might ask, why would I need shooting angles on 2 floors in a starter base? Well, the answer is, the next phase is to reinforce the third floor with extra walls, and that starts right now. What you need to do, exit through one of the window frames on the third floor, then upgrade all surrounding ceilings to HQM first. Where there are no ceilings, place them and also upgrade. If you don't have HQM yet, upgrading to stone or sheet metal is fine for now. You can always upgrade later. Next here, place a half wall and on top of it install a window frame. After that, move to the opposite side and do exactly the same thing. This will be essential for your future 4th floor shooting angles. Now we're going to continue reinforcing the 3rd floor. I'm building everything with red metal to make it easier for you to see. Basically, what I'm doing is sealing off all the buffer areas, the ones we won't be using later on. They are mostly there to protect your main tool cupboard, which eventually will be moved to the 3rd floor. Next, we head back up to the 3rd floor, turn right, remove the wooden window bars, and here you need to build a loot room with 4 large boxes. If you start worrying about that window frame inside your loot room, don't stress. Later, I'll show you how to fully secure it. Behind the single door, you'll have a spot for your main battery. Obviously, you probably don't have one yet, but it's better to set up the space in advance. This area is where your HQM cube with the main tool cupboard will be located. So upgrade everything here to HQM, but make sure not to place a doorway in this section. Next, we move over to your combat spawn area and start building that out. As with everything else on this floor, upgrade it all to sheet metal. Now, the last window frame we haven't dealt with, that's going to become a loot room for 4 large boxes, and honestly, at this point, you could already start living on the 3rd floor. Now, your next goal is to build the shooting floor. To do that, you'll need to add 2 triangle roofs along each corner edge. Be very careful here. There are a lot of small details to get right. First, pay attention to how I secured the central window frame. You need to copy this exactly. This is going to be your roof peak, and it needs to be placed right now. Naturally, upgrade everything here to metal, add doors if you already have them. If not, that's fine for now. I'm placing double door frames here purely for structural stability. Now comes the tricky part. Where you plan to build your door peak, you need to place 2 door frames almost instantly, one after the other. To pull this off, you'll need to be really fast. Place 1 door frame on one side, then within a fraction of a second, place the second one on the other side. If you're struggling, I recommend opening a speed test site in your browser. Yep, the same one that checks your internet speed. Trust me, it'll work. As you can see, I was able to do it just fine with 29 ping. And until you get metal embrasures, at least place wooden window bars to secure your shooting angles. Now let's move over to the opposite side and build the exact same thing. I want you to get your shooting floor operational as early as possible, so you can fully enjoy defending this base. So we keep building, but this side will be a little different. Instead of a roof peak, this section will be your actual exit to the roof. Underneath that shelf, make sure you leave enough space for an auto turret. I'm also placing frames here, purely for stability. Mental and emotional stability, of course. Now cover everything with ceilings, upgrade them to metal, and finish building the roof entrance. Don't forget to place a shelf in the middle here along with the surrounding walls. Later on, you'll be able to use it to store drop-off loot boxes, just in case you land here with a minicopter and need to quickly unload. And obviously, on the opposite side, we're doing exactly the same thing. The base itself is already reinforced, we have roof shooting angles, but now we need to reinforce our main entrance too. As you remember, we had an exit leading in 2 different directions, plus a square loot room with an auto turret positioned inside. It's better to prepare all these layouts in advance so you don't forget later. And regarding the upgrades, this entrance area plays a crucial role in the defense of your base, so I highly recommend upgrading everything here to metal. Place an auto turret here whenever you can. Honestly, it's best if you set up your very first turret right in this spot, because it's a super strong position for it. Also, don't forget, right above this ceiling there's supposed to be a loot room with 3 large boxes. You must place those boxes now, because later it'll be impossible to do it. Above all that, you'll eventually have another turret to control your compound. Finally, once you're done, install triangle roofs over these areas to finish everything neatly. And that's pretty much it. The base itself is reinforced, the entrance is heavily defended, but right now we're still missing offline protection, right? That's exactly what we'll be building next. On the left and right, I place 1 square foundation each. This is where you'll start building the anti-siege structures on each side. In order for them to work properly, you must follow my instructions exactly step by step, just like I show in the video. Otherwise, you might get confused and then try to blame me later. Don't do that. If you want to practice building these anti-sieges or the base itself, you're always welcome on my Rust Room build servers. They're free and open to everyone. However, if you want Q-Skip, access to rocket launchers, MLRS testing, and so on, then check out my Patreon and grab a VIP subscription. VIP status on the server is granted automatically. Next, at this spot, you need to place a square frame for a triangle hatch, upgrade it, and then place a square foundation directly inside of it. If you're following my video exactly, this will definitely work out for you. After that, place 2 half walls here and then 2 full walls on top of them. Upgrade everything to metal, but you must destroy the lower half walls afterward, otherwise the bunker won't function. Now look, at this spot near the window frame, you'll have a mini loot room with 3 small boxes. That's exactly why we placed those half walls, to create space for this loot area. In this anti-siege structure, you should later add garage doors, just like I'm doing. This is important because even if all your multi-TCs and your main TC are destroyed, raiders will still need to spend at least 7 rockets to break into this anti-siege bunker. As you can see, everything is working for me, and it will definitely work for you too. But actually, we're not done yet. Now we need to connect this anti-siege structure to our main base. And it's done very simply. In this spot, place a triangle foundation, then add a half wall on top of it, and then a double door frame on that half wall. After placing them, destroy the half wall and the triangle foundation, then you can safely upgrade everything else to metal. And don't forget to test that your anti-siege structure properly disconnects from the main base. It worked for me, so it'll definitely work for you too. Now, move to the right side, and there you need to repeat the exact same steps. In the end, you should have 2 perfectly symmetrical anti-siege bunkers. Now we head to the opposite side. Here, on the right, we'll build another anti-siege bunker, and on the left, another one as well. Since they are completely identical, I'll just fast forward this part for you. I hope everything's clear. Once all 4 anti-siege bunkers are built, you'll have 4 external bunkers around your base. Sure, they'll be metallic, but still very strong. Now, on 3 sides of our base, we need to start preparing for the future roof bunkers. First, inside this recessed area, you must place a shelf for future loot boxes. If you don't place it now, it will be much harder later. Then we place 8 square foundations. And instead of placing a 9th square foundation, we place a triangle foundation instead. Next, we demolish all the square foundations and replace them with triangular ones. Then we remove all the triangles, place 2 more square foundations, another triangle, and 2 half walls. From those 2 half walls, we then place 3 more square foundations outward. And here's where we start building our bunker multi-TC setup, designed to withstand 15 rockets. I've shown how to build this exact multi-TC setup many times already in my YouTube videos, and I've explained it even more thoroughly in my private Patreon videos. So if you still don't know how to build this bunker properly, I really recommend you hop onto one of my room build servers. Just get on, follow my steps carefully, and practice it a few times. If you manage to build it several times in a row, you'll never have problems with bunkers like this in the future. The key is practice. I believe in you. Now, after placing the bunker foundation and setting a wall on it, if that wall shows 79% stability, congratulations, you did it correctly. Then we replace the square bunker foundation with a triangular one, and that's it. Also, don't forget to place another triangle foundation next to the main HQM triangle. This is important. It will allow you to rebuild the freestanding bunker if someone eco raids it. Now we simply repeat the same exact steps on the other 2 sides of our base. Once you do this, your base will already be super strong against offline raids. However, this is still just half of its full potential. But no worries, we're getting there. Now let's build the main entrance into the compound. It's a very simple process, especially if you follow exactly how I'm doing it in the video. If you don't have metal embrasures or glass windows at this stage, at least place wooden window bars. And very important, don't forget to pre-build the loot shelf for 3 large boxes above the ceiling here. You have to do it now or you won't be able to add it later. And right above those boxes, by the way, there's going to be a turret placed too. This turret will be the one controlling your entire compound. Next, to the left and right, we add 1 square foundation each and place a half wall on top of them. After that, you can demolish the square foundations. We don't need them anymore. Now we move to the opposite side and repeat the exact same process there. Just don't forget, the base follows a 4-sided symmetry layout. Now let's head over to the opposite side of the main entrance to the base. Here, you won't have an entrance into the compound. Instead, this will be your main external combat spawn point. It's built in pretty much the same way, but there are a few small differences. Inside, the only change is the addition of a solo door for an exit, but outside, things are slightly different. In this combat spawn room, I also recommend adding a loot room under the ceiling, fitting 3 large boxes. And here's what I recommend storing in it: wood, metal, HV rockets, med syringes, grenades, and so on. Keep the repair materials there so you can fix your base during a raid, and all the combat supplies so you'll have some fun defending it. Also take note, in this external spawn, we don't add the square foundations and half walls on the sides anymore. Instead, we'll be placing 2 oil refineries later on. Now the next task is setting up your high external walls. As you can see, it's very straightforward. If you accidentally place a wall incorrectly and the removal timer expires, you can simply upgrade that wall to stone. This will reset the removal timer. If your walls are already stone, then you can just change their skin using a paid skin. And again, the timer will reset. Now, behind your main entrance to the base, we place 2 large furnaces. Afterward, you'll need to enclose them properly with high external walls too. However, a single wall won't be enough here. You'll need 4 high externals. And again, if you make a mistake and the timer runs out, use the same trick. Just upgrade the wall to stone and the timer will refresh. And now look, where we have the entrance to our base, we place 2 large furnaces. On the opposite side, we set up 2 oil refineries for processing crude oil. Now, to make sure no one can climb into our compound, we need to place metal barricades. If you run out of metal blades, don't worry, you can actually craft them. So I don't think you'll have any problem with that. Now let's move on directly to our external HQM bunkers around the compound. The shelf for placing your boxes is already in place, which means you can start building the bunker. First, place 2 half walls at this spot, then break the lower one and install a triangular roof piece. Immediately add 3 small boxes inside the future bunker or a DLC barrel if you have one. After that, you can close it all off with a full wall. Now, on the foundation, we place a low wall and a low ramp. The ramp, the foundation, and the wall, we upgrade all of them to HQM. The low wall can stay metal. Also, don't forget about the triangular hatch frame. It's absolutely necessary. Once you install it, make sure to double check that the bunker is working properly. It's important. Now, on the remaining 2 sides, we repeat exactly the same process, and once you finish, your base will be extremely well protected against offline raids. Overall, as you can see, the base turned out insanely strong. Now let's finish building the roof of our base. We go over to our roof peak in this spot. Then, on the left and right, we place 1 half wall each. After that, we cover everything with ceilings and upgrade them to metal, so it's harder for someone to echo raid from below. Here, you'll have a vending machine for selling random stuff, and also a combat spawn point with 1 bed. Don't forget to place additional small boxes next to the bed too, and make sure to store something important for online defense in those boxes. At the very least, if you care about successfully defending your base, the window frames inside your combat spawn must be additionally protected and turned into proper protected peaks. Leaving them open like that is absolutely not an option. That's why I recommend you do exactly what I'm doing right now. This is necessary so that even if someone builds a raid tower right next to you, they won't be able to shoot you through these windows. And basically, that's almost everything. The last thing left here is to add some wooden railings for decoration. Once you've done that, one side is completely finished. Now we move to the opposite side and repeat exactly the same thing. I fast forwarded this part as usual. However, that's still not everything I have to show you on the roof. Now we go to the side where the entrance to the roof is. On the sides here, we place window frames, and above them we prepare a spot for our future OP turret. The ceiling where the turret will be placed must be upgraded to metal, so it can't be eco-rated from below. As for the rest, it's up to you. If you upgrade everything to stone, your turret will survive only 1 MLRS volley. But if you upgrade everything around the turret to metal, it will survive at least 2 volleys for sure. And by the way, that's still not all. Remember, I told you that you'll also have an auxiliary turret on the roof? Well, it's placed in a pretty unusual way too. First, we add triangular roofs on the sides. They'll not only make your base look much cooler, but they'll also protect your future turret here. In order to place the turret properly, you first need to put down a twig triangular frame. Then set up your turret at the right angle and break the frame afterwards. Don't worry, the turret will stay exactly where you placed it. Now we move to the opposite side and do exactly the same thing. By the way, 2 wind turbines are more than enough for this base. And you've already seen, I placed quite a few large batteries around here too. Remember, I told you I'd show you how to protect the loot room with 4 large boxes on the 3rd floor. To protect it, it's enough to simply place a drop box in this spot. That's definitely going to be enough. Now let's move on to the inside of our base, because there's still a lot I want to show you. Here we need to build another loot room for 4 large boxes. Notice that I'm using low ramps to build the loot room. This is important to protect the future bunker that will be located on the 3rd floor. Also, don't forget that we need to move the main tool cupboard from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor. You can do that right now. And while we're at it, I want to give a special thanks to my OP subscriber and to everyone else who supports me financially on Patreon. Thank you. It's thanks to you that I can keep doing what I do. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and check out my other videos. For example, my last base, the one with 5 layers of walls before reaching the main TC, turned out super awesome too. And now I'm off to design a brand new base.